Okay, Crystal, I was just reading through your writing. I think everything's making good sense here. So good job recording your observations associated with the project so far. Thank you very much. Please keep it up, the writing as we move through the class. It's really super important. Tells me a lot about the way you're learning too. So let's go ahead and jump right over to the ad. So now you mentioned a little bit of a disconnect in that the ad is featuring a spa package, but the background image is featuring a boat. And I agree. I think it creates a pretty significant degree of confusion in the ad. Now, granted, this isn't a class in marketing, but it is important though that the ad makes sense, specifically if you're shooting for this to be a portfolio piece. So I think there's a couple of things that we can do here. Now, I recommend changing the background ad to something maybe a little bit more associated with spa, since you're saying free spa package when you book 7 or 9 or more. If you can't, I mean, I would recommend that we do. I think we could create a higher degree of a connection between the headline promotional material and the background image. I mean, you got the idea of putting the towel in there with the hibiscus. That kind of alludes to spa a little bit, but still, I think it's not enough to carry the ad. So in this particular layout, and as I said, I do recommend changing background image, which is going to change the layout, of course. But my recommendation in this particular layout would be this, and you can use these comments as applicable to your new background image when that time comes. About that, I had to take a little break. My phone was ringing, so I'll just try to remember where I was when I picked up. I know when I left off, I'll try to pick up where I left off. So what I was saying is I would recommend changing the background image itself. But based on this composition, my recommendation here would be this, is what I would do is I would indent the subhead a little bit, try to bring it into right about here. So I think right now it's a little bit too far left. It's creating an imbalance in the composition. So not all the way quite to the F, but right about here or so. Just indent that. And then I think that the contact information in area is a little bit too big. What I would do is I would, actually it's a pretty good relationship when you take a look at the comparison from top to bottom, the baseline to the cap line. It's the same size as the logo. So actually, I'm going to take that back. That's pretty good. What I would do here, though, is I would take this and move it over to the left, right over there, and then I would just raise this a little bit in the composition. There's a couple of other recommendations, but I don't want to get too far into this because I really, really want you to consider changing the background image. Now, at the end of the day, this is your work, right? So if you don't want to change the background image, I get that and I respect that. My recommendation is to do so. But another thing that you could do if you decide to use this image, again, is the only other difference that I would say is to take when you move this in a little bit, indent it a little bit more, move it down a little bit in the composition, almost to where the water starts, then move this headline subhead combination down in the composition as well. I would also recommend that you take the address area. This is another possible configuration, is take this address area and span it across the top above the headline. Of course, much smaller than a headline. And then you can see an example of that over in the announcements area. And then you can pull this out and just place it right here, opposite the logo. And I think that is another really viable option, as this area right here is a little bit cluttered, as we have 4 somewhat heavy visual elements right in very, very close proximity. The boat, the towel with the flower, the address, and the logo. So it's a little bit heavy weight distribution towards the bottom of the composition. Okay, so those are my recommendations. If you have any questions, please let me know. I'll be glad to make any necessary clarifications. Thank you very much.